been a quiet week in Storrs, Connecticut, my hometown, out on the edge of the campus. The temperature has continued to be warm, and in fact, it's starting to be that time of year when, in the minds of many of the people of Storrs, it crosses the line from warm into hot.
But not as hot as my temper,
says the grown-up toddler. So many of the people of Storrs are currently engaging in the yearly battle to install their air conditioners despite the prevailing forces of gravity. But other people in Storrs still find themselves in the even more important yearly battle to get their wives or their sons or their husbands, for that matter, to help them install their air conditioners despite the prevailing forces of stubbornness and laziness. Some of them have become so desperate to enlist their family members' help that they've resorted to cheap tactics such as crude punning.
Honey, I don't care how stubborn or lazy you are. We've simply got to install this AC because it's so hot outside, it almost feels like DC. Get it? It's a crude pun. Spring has sprung, fall has fell, summer's here, and I'm on a highway to hell.
Of course, there are those people in Storrs who can't seem to agree on whether it is in fact summer or whether it's still spring, and I could waste time going into detail about the various debates on this subject that tend to spring up in places like the Dog Lane Cafe.
Come, sit, stay.
But suffice it to say that such debates usually end with people agreeing or semi-agreeing that Storrs is currently in an intermediate phase known as late spring, early summer, or sometimes late spring / early summer.
Hey, what does the guitarist from Guns N' Roses have to do with this?
As you can see, people in Storrs rarely agree on these kinds of things, but we all seem to agree on one thing, the fact that there's something in the air. The leaves on the trees are coming back to life, and after a long, hard winter, you'd think they would be a sight for sore eyes, but they've actually been causing, among other things, sore eyes.
Is pollen in the air, and the effect it has on my eyes and nasal passages is simply appalling. In fact, it's a pollen.
You know, it reminds me of the spring of 1969, back when
That's late spring, early summer to you.
It reminds me of the late spring, early summer of 1969, back when
That's late spring / early summer to you.
Never mind. My point is, I was a student at UConn during that particular moment in time, and we were approaching the end of finals week. Of course, due to the idiosyncrasies of my schedule, I had long since been done with my finals by this point, and of course I got straight A's.
You're such an arrogant show-off.
Well, that's why I became a DJ. Anyway, one evening toward the end of finals week, there was a comedy show on campus that featured various random students going on stage and engaging in various random humorous shenanigans, such as George Carlin quotes.
The most unfair thing about life is the way it ends. I mean, life is tough. It takes up a lot of your time. What do you get at the end of it? A death. What's that, a bonus? I think the life cycle is backwards. You should die first, get it out of the way. Then you live in an old age home. You get kicked out when you're too young, you get a gold watch, you go to work. You work 40 years until you're young enough to enjoy your retirement. You do drugs, alcohol, you party, you get ready for high school, you go to grade school, you become a kid, you play, you have no responsibilities, you'll become a little baby, you go back into the womb, you spend your last 9 months floating, and you finish off as an orgasm.
Of course, other performers engaged in different kinds of random shenanigans, such as the more conventional and at the same time refreshingly unconventional light bulb jokes.
How many polite, considerate New Yorkers does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know how many.
Both of them.
And after the show, a friend of mine who was of Irish descent named Mark Opolo came up to me and said,
You know, Josh, I'm surprised you weren't up there performing. You can rattle off quotes like nobody's business, and you know exactly how many light bulb jokes it takes to light up a room.
And I said, well, you know, I've been thinking I need to find some sort of outlet for my desire to make people laugh, to make them every bit as confused and befuddled as they are enjoying themselves. I just wish I could introduce them to some great music at the same time. And he replied,
Then get yourself a radio show, laddie.
What? Laddie, okay, ad-libbing. You see, it's only fitting that I saved my most prophetic news from Storrs anecdote yet for my final show of the semester, though I suppose it can hardly be considered prophetic if, in fact, it's already happened. And that's the news from Storrs, Connecticut, where all the women are strong, all the men are good-looking, and I have no idea what this means, but somehow I thought of Marco and I found myself typing, all the faux sadistic German dictators are above average.
Jawohl!